What is up, Rage Nation? We are back with another behind-the-scenes interview, this time with Sean from Maverick Smith. Sean, what's up, man?
Hey, everything's going well, man. As I say, living the dream, and hope the same for you.
Yeah, man. All right, before we get into the radio interview, look, if the radio gods have shown us favor today and you found us via YouTube or Facebook and you want to know a little bit more about us, we're an internationally syndicated radio show on 25 radio stations across the planet Earth. IndieRageRadio.us is the central hub. Get all the info you need right there. Listen on demand. Sign up for our newsletter. Check out our reviews, our music reactions, and so much more. IndieRageRadio.us. And if you want to help the show, keep us broadcasting right there in the crawl and down in the description. Everybody shops Amazon. A real easy way to help support the show because it's no added cost to you. Uncle Bezos gives us a small commission when you use our link to purchase something on Amazon. So tinyurl.com/Amazon link MO, save it to your browser. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. All right, here we go, Sean. Segment 1 in 3, 2, 1. Indie Rage Radio, IndieRageRadio.us. We are back for another week. We are joined this week by Sean. He's the guitarist, songwriter, and producer for the Ohio Valley rock band Maverick Smith. They're on Instagram, X, TikTok. Their music is everywhere where you consume music. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube. Go check out their brand new album, We Make Fire, They Make Smoke. You can also get at them at MaverickSmithBand.com, and there you'll find not only more about the band, but merch store as well. Vinyl, stickers, t-shirts, posters, coffee cups, and more. Check it out, MaverickSmithBand.com. And if you're into Linktree, they got one of those too, where you can get every single link that they got out there. Linktree/Maverick Smith Band. Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a total pleasure and an honor to be here.
Well, Sean, in the first segment, we always play a game because the Rage Nation, they want to know a little bit more about you. They're a nosy little bunch, so we got to satisfy the beast, okay?
I understand.
So we're going to play a game called 10 Rounds with Mikey O. It's kind of like a this or a that. I'm going to give you people, place, thing, 2 or 3 things. You tell me just which one you like more, okay?
All right.
All right, here we go. Round number 1. Autobot or Decepticon?
Decepticon.
Oh, look, in all of these 10 questions, only one question has a right and a wrong answer, and that's number 1, Autobot or Decepticon. And you got it wrong, Sean.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Man, how can you not pull for Optimus in the gang?
I will tell you why, because where I grew up, we only had one store where you could get either or. And if you didn't get there early enough, there was no way you're getting an Autobot. So I had to become a fan of the bad guys. And I looked at it more like Ric Flair as a bad guy, the bad guy you kind of want to be. So that was kind of my vibe.
Look, I thought it was so crazy. And of course, I saw the Transformer movie later on in my childhood. Like the first time I was introduced to Transformers was like, the Saturday cartoon or whatever.
Right.
Like in the 90s. So I didn't know in the movie they killed Optimus Prime off in the first movie. How did they do that?
I still have childhood trauma from that movie. And back in those days, remember, you couldn't go somewhere and find out if they were not killing him off or bringing him back. That was the final for us. So that was like, what just happened?
Yeah. That was a ballsy move.
For sure. So. It worked out for him all right, though.
All right, round number 2, milkshake or malt?
Milkshake.
Mm-hmm. Round number 3, how do you like to consume your music? Vinyl, CD, or digital download?
Vinyl. The way it's supposed to be, in my humble opinion.
In your collection, what's your favorite record?
The Ramones' first album. It's an old friend. I can put my guitar on, put that on the vinyl, and just play and forget about life for a side,
Yes.
How about you? What's your take?
Man, I grew up in the grunge era, and I've told this story on a previous show, but I got the limited edition like Nirvana Nevermind CD,
Mm-hmm.
not CD, but vinyl from Walmart.
Box, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I bought a cheap record player, and I scratched it all up, and I never forgave myself for that.
Well, it's important to forgive yourself, but that would be a hard one to get over, that you did to yourself on that one.
But yeah, that, you know, I don't own mini vinyl, but yeah, I'd have to say it'd be, you know, some of the grunge era.
Cool.
All right, let's see. Round number 4, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke out of a glass bottle.
Oh, isn't that weird how it's like next level in a glass bottle?
It's the carbonation. It's how it was meant to be, I think.
You ever put peanuts in that thing?
No. Tell me more about this.
You never done that? I
No.
guess that must be like a Southern thing. Yeah. You just get you like some salted peanuts and like pour your peanuts in there. And while you're drinking your Coke, you know, you get like a little mouthful of peanuts. And
That's interesting. I like that idea.
Oh, you got to try it.
I'm going to have to.
Also, you can't beat a Mexican Coke in the bottle.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like the platinum diamond level experience. Yes, It's real sugar. It's not the corn fructose stuff. So
yeah,
I agree with you, sir.
It's funny because long time ago, I introduced my son to the Mexican drink aisle, and you know, getting the apple soda and the Mexican cola, and even he's 18, he'll come home, Dad, look what I got, and he'll have like the Mexican Coke.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, let's see. Oh, go ahead.
I said it's the little things.
It is. God bless sugar. Round number 5, pop punk or grunge? Uh-oh.
Yeah, this one's tough. I'm going to go pop punk.
I love me some pop punk. That's my guilty pleasure. Like, I can be stopped in mid-sentence or in mid-walk with a great pop punk song.
Yeah, I find myself going to pop punk concerts, you know, in reunion more than the grunge. That's how I made the decision. But when I was younger, yeah, it was grunge and the flannel was out, and I was living the life, man.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Round number 6, playing clubs or festivals?
Clubs.
Now we got to dive a little bit deeper with that, because it seemed like you were in there. You were thinking it through.
Well, one thing pops to mind. The last festival I played, we were doing a cover of Bob Dylan's Rolling Stone, and it was my job to introduce the song. And I meant to say this is one of the most prolific songwriters of our time, and I said prophylactic. So if you've not had a bunch of people laughing at you and trying to figure out how to recover, and to let, you know, everyone in the audience know what was on my mind. So that popped in. But I would tell you, if you get a full club show where the sound's good, the frequency, the organism of the crowd is just a lot tighter. And I think it feels better. It's not necessarily this open air portion of trying to get your music to contact with someone.
Yeah, and man, a lot of clubs out there are struggling these days. You know, trying to make it back from COVID, even though it's been a few years back. You know, still hit hard by COVID, and now Ticketmaster trying to shut down all the small clubs. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't know any corporation that won't take the opportunity to make more money. And I think between COVID and what is needed as a rejuvenation of a live music scene, it's making it tough. But hopefully people will bounce back. It's going to be tough because corporations are in all the mid-level venues on up. So you have to work with them. It's just part of the process.
All right, round number 7, hamburger, pizza, or pasta?
Pizza, as long as it's from my hometown.
Oh, you got a favorite pizza joint. Let's talk about it.
I got a couple. So great story about where I grew up. We're in West Virginia, which isn't too far from Pittsburgh. It's about 35 minutes. But we have all steel mills here. So a lot of folks from Italy, a lot of the Italians came over to work in the steel mills. Then other people followed, and they put in all these restaurants. So we have every type of region of Italian pizza you can possibly get. And I am fond of the Ohio Valley pizza, which is cooked in a box. So you get the sauce on it. It's steaming hot. Then they put the cheese and the pepperoni on, put the box on, and it cooks in the box. By the time you get home, you got a nice piece of pizza.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever experienced that.
It's pretty cool. If you think about it, it's really convenient for mill workers. You probably only get about 30, 40 minutes for lunch. Go grab your pizza. Yeah. It's still good by the time you come back. It's also why we put coleslaw and French fries on our sandwiches here. It just puts everything together, makes it more convenient. You can eat it in less than a lunch hour.
You know, I've been trying to tell my mom, like her maiden name is Ligio, and her family came over from Sicily. And I'm like, man, we need to start a Ligio's Pizza on the Go food truck. And I haven't been able to convince her just yet.
Well, tell her I would endorse it if that's of any help.
Hey, there we go. It would kill down here. I know it.
I bet you it would.
All right. Number 8, fly or drive?
Drive. Yeah, that's the easiest one you've asked me.
Mm-hmm. You know, I don't like to fly either. I've only done it. I can count it on one hand how many times I've done it. I almost died at the Chicago airport one time. And then, like, just being a big dude in a plane, it doesn't work. And then one time when I was flying back from Orlando to Dallas, I got an aisle seat. And when I was walking up, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be great, because the girl that was sitting next to me was like a olive oil from Popeye, really tall and skinny. I was like, man, there's going to be so much room here, and it still sucked.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's bad across the board. I like driving better, one, because I don't like the experience of flying, and I've done it too much. But you get to stop in these small towns, right? Maybe get some food you never had before, the best food that you've never had before. So I kind of dig the drive, try to stay off the interstates and do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. You got to like to drive when you're an independent band. You're going around gigs. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir, you do. If you don't, this is definitely not the line of experience for you to take on.
Yeah. All right, round number 9. Gibson, Fender, or PRS?
Gibson.
Ooh, okay, that was easy. I thought we were going to have a little conversation ahead with that one too.
Yeah, no, the Gibson's easy. I prefer a Gretsch. I have a nice Gretsch. I bought a couple of ones right when Malcolm Young had passed away, because he was just one of my heroes. And I fell in love with this Gretsch Electromatic that I got, and it's my go-to. And it's got its personality and is a people in my life at this point. We've been through a lot, and I think we've abused each other enough that we have a good relationship. So I'm definitely on the Gretsch side, but I do have a couple Les Pauls and love to play them, and they're just beautiful instruments.
All right, and round number 10, the finale of 10 Rounds with Mikey O. Mohawk or mullet?
Mohawk. I used to have one, and it was colored, so I can't go against my kin and what I had for a good 4 to 5 years. So yes. Mohawk all the way.
All right, you can watch the behind-the-scenes video right now on YouTube and Facebook of our interview here with Sean. Now, Sean, if you ever wanted to, because you got some long locks right now, if you ever go to like a short haircut, look, you got to form that thing into a mullet at least for a week.
I wholeheartedly agree. My younger self rocked a mullet, so I think I could pull it off even a little bit older. So yes, I would not let anyone down to not take advantage of that.
Yeah, we are a fan of the mullet over here on the show. And like, look, you catch a mullet like with a good wind breeze, and there's nothing better.
I have to agree with you there.
You can check out Sean's band, Maverick Smith, at mavericksmith.com. Their brand new album, We Make Fire, They Make Smoke, is available everywhere you consume music. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, and the list goes on. They're on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Go give a subscribe. Go download their music. Go stream them. Help support this band. And you can get some merch at mavericksmithband.com. Vinyl, stickers, T-shirts, posters, coffee cups, and more. It's all available right there. All right, Sean. So the first song we're going to play from you is "Fill It Back." This is your current single you guys are pushing. Let's talk about this song. What's it about?
So it was an interesting process. Our lead singer Paige had kind of, as she said in another interview along the way, kind of broke through her show and started contributing on the songwriting, which has been a blessing. So this was really one of her first rockers that she kind of brought to the band, and we worked through it. I think it's about, you know, a relationship, and you're trying to figure those things out, and you're starting to get to know this individual, right? The other person in your life. And you have to start making decisions. You have to start saying, okay, there's always good and bad, right? We're layers of people, layers of things, human beings. And so you're eventually going to see some of the bad pieces, and it's trying to figure out, can this be resolved? Is my love strong enough to deal with this? Can we fix it? Kind of thing, of that first kind of hurdle when you're really deep in love, not when you're falling in love, and trying to overcome that. And I think it was captured really well with the instruments and the musicianship that we had, and Paige's lyrics, always cutting and can be a little too honest.
Here it is. It's "Fill It Back" from Maverick Smith on Indie Rage Radio. All right, very cool. Segment 2, we're going to talk a little bit more about the band.
Okay.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Indie Rage Radio, IndieRageRadio.us. We are back with Sean. He's a guitarist, songwriter, and producer for the Ohio Valley rock band Maverick Smith. You can find them on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Their music is available everywhere you are: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube. Their brand new album, We Make Fire, They Make Smoke, is available there as well. You can check them out online, MaverickSmithBand.com, MaverickSmithBand.com. You got a store there as well. Vinyl, stickers, t-shirts, posters, coffee cups. Go out and support this band. Get some merch. Stream their music. Download it. All right, Sean, let's talk a little bit more about the band. So you took almost a decade-long break from music, and now you're back. Let's talk about what led up to your vision of your new band and how it all got together.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, at least in my own head. I think I was going through a life change. Parents were getting older, needed to move back in town, coming out of a long relationship, trying to sort some things out, and I missed music. I'd moved away just really because I was burned out. It was kind of difficult. We had my older band had some success, and we were able to go out on the road, but we really were having to produce a lot of content, even more than today. And so you kind of get a little bit burnt out. So I'd taken a break, just had a hankering, as we say up here in Northern Appalachia, to go and try to make music. So I got a Rolodex out, and yeah, I do mean a Rolodex. And for the younger folks in the crowd, you can Google it. These things existed. We used to have to spin pieces of paper instead of just search through your phone, and found an old number for Dan Bozak, who had produced and engineered our first album, and called him up and said, "Hey, you got some studio time? I just want to work on some stuff." And then through that process, discovered, hey, I can kind of do this and bring some different musicians in, which I always wanted to do. So I was able to reach out to folks like Ken Stringfellow from the Posies and Big Star, REM as well, to kind of help out and sing and play some instruments, and brought in, I think it was about 22 musicians on the first album. So it was just this weird idea in my head of just kind of getting to make the album I always wanted to and finally could. And then we had some success, and that always leads to more. And so we've been able to produce 2 single releases, one Christmas album, 1 covers, and now the new album in less than a year. So it's about 27 songs, and I think about 9 months that we've been able to put out, which is a blessing. And so the new iteration is, hey, you got to go out and play live. I wanted people I could play with local, really wanted to build this in the Ohio Valley and Pittsburgh area. So started a call out, started making calls like you do, and finding who's available and who can come in, and started to piece together a live band where we can start to fill in other guests or folks that want to sit in with us as we start to go out and expand our live show.
Yeah, and look, and I'm a band name guy. And I think you have a very interesting band name. What's the story behind Maverick Smith and not just, the Sean Boynes band?
It's because my oldest son, his first name is Smith, and my youngest son's first name is Maverick. And so I was actually beating my head trying to figure out a band name. And my mom, my nephew, Skip, who wrote some songs on the first album, they all said, just name it after your kids. And I was like, I'm terrible with band names and naming pets. So I went, Smith Maverick doesn't sound right. And it was like, no, Maverick Smith. And it just kind of hit. So that's where the band name came from. It was out of making sense and not coming up with anything cooler.
I like it. So let's talk about your lead vocalist, Paige. How'd you find her? Because she's, younger than the other guys in the band. And what was her, I guess, like initial reaction when you had first, approached her about being the lead singer in the band?
Yeah, so we had the opportunity to work with a local nonprofit here called Harmony Health, which helps to improve access to healthcare for those with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and to put on sort of a benefit concert where a local restaurant named Permani Brothers would donate a significant portion of the proceeds from the whole day and any revenue, anything that people had purchased. So I needed a female lead singer really quickly, because in the album I brought in a female vocalists to help, and found her through just online mechanisms, the social medias and things like that, and reached out, and she responded and came and had a good enough time and performed well enough that I immediately went up to her and said, hey, I'm going to be making some more music and moving out. Do you want to do this? And she's been there since that time.
Yeah, and I love the feel of your music. The first song that I heard from you guys was Feel It Back. And I'm going to throw a band name out. I don't expect you to know this band, but you guys have, and they were one of my favorite bands back in the early 90s. You guys have a vibe like this band I love called Broom Tree. And I'm going to send you a link.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. So you can give them a listen. So look, my musical palette has always been very female fronted. I love a female's voice on rock. So I've always been drawn to female fronted bands. So I love what you guys are doing, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's interesting. We have a multi-generational band. The lead guitarist and Paige are in their 20s. I'm in the middle, and we have some guys that I'm not going to say how old they are, but they're definitely Generation X and well within the realm of that. And I think those the genres blend, and it's interesting because each song has those nuances of everyone's kind of musical taste, but also that period between 8 and 12 when you're really absorbing what your musical taste is going to be. I think it was interesting on the first album because we wanted all live musicians. We didn't want to do samples or, any of those things. And we ended up, there was this conundrum of like, well, we got to find this sample and this sample. And I said, well, why don't we just call so-and-so? Because they either played during that era, played on what we were talking about, or grew up in that era. So I think we have the blessing of being able to kind of recreate the sounds that people are trying to get off the computer right now, which is interesting to me because I don't remember a time in music doing it for 20 some years that we've ever had that.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about the influences a second ago. That leads me to my second question. What influences from your past have you kind of brought into your songwriting and the way that you play instruments?
Yeah. So I think I grew up with a family that loved to play music. Now we had a lot of bluegrass players and bagpipe players, Scottish and Irish, and grew up in West Virginia. So that was always around. I think the big piece on the songwriting aspect is my mom loved Chris Christopherson and Jim Croce, Joni Mitchell. And I grew up on sort of those singer-songwriters, the Simon and Garfunkel, Paul Simon, kind of group of folks. And then my dad was into like Motown and Wilson Pickett and James Brown. So I think I picked up the necessity to have at least 5 hooks in every song from James Brown and Wilson Pickett, truthfully.
Right on. And what about instrumentally?
So I think from the guitar standpoint, I was very heavily influenced by glam metal. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I love Poison. I go to their shows. That was big when I was much younger, but it was a huge thing where I grew up. So I think those influences come in. I think as I started really getting into rhythm guitar, I fell in love with the Ramones, and that's my favorite band. And I think Johnny Ramone is a very underrated guitar player for what he did in the sounds. And if there's tons of interviews from Kurt Hammett to Dave Mustaine to a litany of guys that are doing metal saying how influential the downstroking, because that's all Johnny did. He only did downstroking because when he started, that was his only way to keep time. And it led to that low end metal sound that people copy to this day. So I think that's where my influence comes in, is really a lot of Johnny Ramone.
Yeah, no lie. The first rock song I ever heard in my life was Van Halen Jump. Like, because when I was a kid, I just listened to what my parents listened to. It was, gospel music and country. And like one day my Uncle Vince, we're sitting in the truck in front of my Mama Lou's house, and he goes, "Hey, have you heard Van Halen's new song?" And I said, "What's the Van Halen?" He's like, "You've never heard of Van Halen?" I'm like, "No. I can tell you who Ricky Skaggs is, though." And like, he was like, "Listen to this." And I was absolutely blown away and been in love with rock ever since.
Hey, that's a good uncle, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I remember, growing up, they would always talk about, yeah, your Uncle Vince going to the Kiss concert and this and that. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. But yeah. Van Halen Jump. It was crazy.
Well, shout out to Uncle Vince. He's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's talk about, what the future looks like for Maverick Smith.
Well, with my Irish background, I am knocking on wood. Things are going well. We're approaching 300,000 streams across all platforms on the album. Very encouraged because we're getting multiple streams. So the goal was, in this single heavy environment, can we put an album out that maybe people will give us 29 minutes? And so the design and the structure of this was really album based. We're working through some small shows through the summer as we get everything set up and try to get our sound together. And then the goal is to start moving out, most likely here in the Northeast, to some of the bigger cities, the Pittsburghs, Clevelands, Columbus, New Yorks, Buffalo's, kind of those areas as we hit the fall. And then hopefully as we get into the spring and summer, we can start catching some being an opening act for some of the larger touring groups that are coming through and head down to over to the West Coast and do a couple of shows out there. So that's where it's at. Our plans go back in the studio with the success, get a single out, hopefully within the next 6 weeks. We have one that we're sitting on and hope that goes, and then try to get another album out sometime around October, November.
Yeah. Kudos for putting out a full album, man, because in today's independent and unsigned landscape, it's so EP driven. It's so single driven. And the art of the album is just slipping away, it almost seems like.
It is. It's not being consumed. And it takes a lot of work. I don't want to say it's stupid because I wouldn't want to call myself that, but it's much harder to get an album over because you have playlisting, you're trying to get social media geared up, and everybody's used to at this point someone putting out one song and then promoting that, and then 6 to 8 weeks later the other song comes out because the algorithm supports that. So if you want to keep your fan base up, and when your song comes out you want all the powers to be to distribute that to the people who like it, you have to keep that content flowing because they're selling ads against it. So the album produces a difficult aspect, especially if you want people to listen to it, and it makes promotion a little harder. And that's why we appreciate anybody that comes, likes, follows, listens, because we do depend on a lot of organic growth when you put an album out. And I hope your listeners can appreciate that, because it's not an easy thing to do, and the reward is very, very risky.
We're talking with Sean. He's the guitarist, songwriter, and producer for the Ohio Valley rock band Maverick Smith. Sean, so the next song we're going to play from you is Too Smart, Too Dumb. Let's talk about this. What's it about?
So this one is one of my favorites because it's a little eccentric, and does feature a Japanese shimasam.
What is that?
So that is the instrument that can sound like a banjo to some people, but it's a percussion instrument. So it's the very familiar Japanese stringed instrument. And I've just always loved it and have been trying to find a song to put it in, and finally had one. The song itself is just about the ivory tower and the upstream, things that I personally observed in my life. My father is a retired West Virginia coal miner. We went through lots of strikes, lots of different things that, the people upstairs or the people upstream seem to lack the common sense of. And so, but they have the degrees and they have the paper crowns. So the song's really about, you're really smart, but maybe not. And what came up for me in the songwriting is I had a mentor that said, just remember, when you're in meetings, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. There's tons of those. Be the person with the most common sense. And so that's kind of what the song really is about.
He is Sean from Maverick Smith. You can check him out on Instagram, X, TikTok. Their music is available everywhere you consume music: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, and more. MaverickSmithBand.com. There's a merch store there. Go get you a vinyl, a sticker, a t-shirt, a poster, a coffee cup. Help support this band. Their brand new album is out right now. We make fire, they make smoke. Stream it, download it. Sean, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man.
It's been a pleasure to be here, and great to get to know you a little bit more. I appreciate the opportunity.
Here it is. It is Too Smart, Too Dumb from Maverick Smith on Indie Rage Radio. All right. Very cool, man. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, man. You're awesome. You're good at this. I appreciate it.
Before you leave, if you could leave me a drop, and you could stylize it however you want, but just something along the lines of, hey, this is Sean from Maverick Smith, and you're listening to Indie Rage Radio.
Hey, folks, this is Sean from Maverick Smith, and you're listening to Indie Rage Radio.
Perfect, man. All right, like I said, I'll be tagging you guys on social media. You'll see it's coming, and we'll rock it out for you.
I appreciate you, sir. You have a great 4th of July.
I'm going to try. You as well.
All right. Take care.
Hey, and then try that Coke and peanuts on the 4th of July.
I am going to try that because I lived in South Carolina for about 7 years. Mm-hmm. So I was addicted to boiled peanuts, man. I just stop at the roadside. And where are you at exactly in the South?
We're at Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Louisiana. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to try that for sure. Hey, what was the name of the band you told me to check out? Broom? I'm sorry.
Broom Tree. I'm actually, when we get off here, I'm going to send you a YouTube link via email.
That would be cool.
All right, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Take care.
You as well. Bye-bye.